Hello, welcome to this January podcast with Details Flowers. We're very excited to have our special guest on this month for all of our viewers. If you're not tuning in here live, you'll get this replay, but I'm so excited. My name is Corinne Heck, and I'm the founder CEO of Details Flowers, and I would love to introduce to you my good friend from Florist Review magazine, the new creative director and president, Jules Lewis-Gibson. Welcome, Jules. How are you doing?
Hi, thanks so much. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, we always love to have inspiring individuals in the floral industry join in on our monthly masterclass. So I thank you for taking up this January session. It's a really big moment for you, I have to say. This is the 125th year of Florist Review, so bravo to that. Congratulations.
Well, I can only take credit for one of those 125 years. But
hey, yes, you're at the helm when that moment arrives.
This year we did celebrate our 125th anniversary, which is just amazing to me that any company, much less a media company, could survive and thrive for that long and have like a whole new kind of breadth. And it's very exciting.
Yeah, I go to the SAF convention every year, and there's always an award for florist businesses that have been around 100 years or more. And I'm going to recommend that they honor you guys this year, because what an outstanding feat. I love history, and I love to see that something has sustained like a long time. So kudos to the starter of the magazine, and for you to be here, during this celebration. I mean, this is a party. I should have brought balloons, for this event. I thought about it actually. I was like, I'll get some balloons delivered. But so tell me, I'm not sure if everybody is familiar with you. You took over the magazine just this last year.
Yes, January 15th, 2021, I acquired the publication, which includes Florist Review, Super Floral, and Canadian Florist. So we have those three titles. Okay. Super Floral and Canadian Florist are currently not in print, but we'll talk about that a little later. Might have some interesting news about that.
Yeah, I've always enjoyed looking at them. I mean, I've been watching Florist Review ever since I entered the industry about 25 years ago. So I have a nice collection of them. And I think I read that there was a man that has been reading along, and I think he has like 60 years of the magazines. Do you have copies of all of them from the last?
There actually are copies all the way back to the beginning. They have them in archival books, and they were shipped off. I think they're in St. Louis right now, all of the old archival books, but they did ship me one from every decade so that we could do our overview in the last issue. So we had one from every day, and it was just unbelievable to see. We had the one that dated, I think 1902 was the first one that we had, but the publication was started in 1897, actually just a couple of years after Vogue.
Oh, really? Yeah. And they're probably, well, I imagine Vogue was based out of New York, but it was based out of Chicago.
It was from what I understand. Chicago, and it was a weekly in the beginning. And of course, I think one of the interesting things about it as well is that they were the first to use photographs to be able to show florists like what things look like instead of just drawings.
Yeah. And I would imagine maybe it was like more common to be in the part of the floral industry than it is now. So, so niche and everything. But to do like a weekly publication way back 125 years ago, I can't even imagine how they got all that content together.
They didn't have the internet.
No, they didn't have a publisher.
So that was how they communicated. they did a lot about like pricing and letting people know like where they could buy supplies and what kind of pricing were. Because if you think about it, their world was very different. They kind of, their weekly, their weekly editions told them what was on sale, what was coming up, what was at wholesalers, what was new ideas, in the industry. And I don't know that it was any more common back then than it is now. I'm not really sure what those comparisons were. I think there's probably more now than there has been. And it seems like the industry is growing again. Maybe it stagnated a few years back, but it seems to be exploding now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think it would be really interesting from an archival, even from an advertising perspective, to see how that they got in to do that, because it's, and advertising is a big thing of what you guys do to be able to produce the magazine, obviously. But back then, I bet it's like a relic, or to see who's actually contributing articles or the advertisements. And I just think it's like a step back in time.
It wasn't nearly as pretty. It was heavy text. It was a lot of text. It was just basically all text.
Okay.
Kind of like a newspaper. It was like more like a newspaper. It was called the Florist Review Weekly. And then I think it was maybe somewhere around the 20s when they changed over to a monthly publication. It was a weekly for many, many years. And so that's why there's so many volumes, because they had just so much content that was created. And
yeah. Well, it's so funny. I must, my childhood best friend growing up, her mother wrote to me when she saw that we had this discussion, and she used to work in the billing department of Florist Review magazine back in the 70s. So I was like, back in Chicago. So
they used to have a really big staff. I think when the publication was sold, the previous owner, he owned it for 5 years. And then before that, Frances, she owned it for 30 years. And she had a really large team. She had a team of about 36, I think, when it was sold in 2015.
Okay. So tell me, like, what is your background? So have you always been interested in the floral industry, or is this kind of like a whole new avenue for you?
Well, this is actually a new avenue. So I've been back in the olden days of the 90s, I was in marketing and advertising, and my specialty was the high-end home industry. And I had an advertising agency consulting firm, and that was my specialty, was more big box high-end retailers up and down the East Coast. And then I did a few other things. When I moved to Florida, I went into real estate. But I eventually, I had some kids, as you do. So I took some time off from my career. And when I was ready to go back to work, I actually acquired Florida Homes Magazine, which at the time was kind of a relocation guide for Canadians, but it was about the West Coast of Florida. And that was where we had just recently moved, which is Sarasota. So I figured, maybe this would be a nice little project to do. I could do it all myself if I needed to. And so I bought it and expanded it. And then I added Florida Boating as a sister title. And then I did a lot of custom work with travel and the tourism industry. And then I launched a women's magazine in 2013, which was just a joy to do. It was so exciting and wonderful to create something different for women. And we were way before Me Too. We were talking about empowering women and the problems within, the problems that women face and the challenges that women face in business, in particularly, as well as their personal life. So that was really rewarding. So I had owned a media company for about 10 years prior. And then I also had a little startup with flowers. I made these arrangements. They looked like flowers, but they were made of fresh plants. And so that was a project that I had as well. So, it was, I've had a lot of experience in media and advertising. And when this opportunity came along, it was just seemed to be the perfect marriage of everything I'd been doing for 30 years.
Well, I have to say that the magazine over the last year, I've really noticed that it's just such a quality piece of publication. And when you're flipping through it, the pages, all the designs, the layouts, are you at the head of that? Are you the design that's also putting like
yeah,
the
I am.
aesthetic?
I'm the creative director, and I design about half of the publication, and I have a wonderfully talented designer who designs the other half, and we kind of split it up and divide and conquer. But that's my personal creative outlet. You know, I don't get to really play with flowers much, and designing and creating is really my creative part. But I love doing them, and we have a lot of pride in the words and the pictures. And I think coming from like a luxury background is it's so beneficial, because in luxury, you know, everything matters: the quality of the paper, the words, the pictures. You know, it's really it has to be top notch to really deal with a luxury audience. And so we bring that same level of commitment to excellence to Florist Review. And I think you can see how much we really love it and how much we care about giving really important, valuable content, not just pretty pictures. The pretty pictures are important, but you've got to have the foundation, right, the message, and all of the business insights, which is really crucial as well.
Yeah, I thumb through it often, and I'm always, you know, it's always a dream to have features in these. And I know a lot of the people watching this is their like, what they long to do is have their work featured in Florist Review. So what a huge opportunity to have you here talking to us about that. Do you, when you're going to pick out like content, do you like kind of narrow in? Do you have like an overall content theme that you've laid out for the whole year? How do you approach like this, like the whole year? Jules, give us some insight.
Well, so we lay out the whole year, usually in like the summer, the fall. We lay out kind of what a framework of what we're going to do each month in the focus, and then we fill it in as we go with, you know, additional articles and additional ideas. But we definitely have a framework that's in our media kit that has our editorial calendar to give us a guideline of, you know, what we're going to be focusing on in different times of the year. And, you know, it's interesting. You know, I've worked on the consumer side for so many years, and you get a little jaded on the consumer side. And you sometimes, especially in media in the past 10 years, you wonder, does anybody really care? You know, I love the magazine business. I love creating beautiful products, but it felt oftentimes when I ended up having to close my publications, because the market just wouldn't bear it. It just, you know, the magazine business went through a tumultuous decade, to say the least. And so this is such an amazing reward, really, for all the hard work that we do, because I've never seen anything like it in marketing and advertising for 3 decades. I've never seen the kind of devotion that people have to this brand. And like you said, it's kind of like winning an Oscar to be featured. And we regularly talk to people that have decades worth of magazines going back that they refer to, and they get out and they go back to, because there might be some basic ideas, some design ideas, because a lot of things in floristry, they're cyclical, and, you know, you don't have to always reinvent the wheel. Yeah. Sometimes the wheel is, you know, something that was used a couple of decades ago, and just kind of remembering it now. And I think it's even interesting with some of the older ones. We've had somebody that was interested in doing an article on some of the old tools that they used to use in an effort towards sustainability. You know, looking at, well, how did they do things in the 1920s before they, you know, had all these, you know, other products to use? What was the way that they really used, you know, used more common products? So it's really interesting.
It's all about the chicken wire. Yeah, it's all about that chicken wire, right? You know, it's always.
But you know, one thing I question too, I mean, I love the chicken wire, I love the creativity, but chicken wire doesn't biodegrade either.
Oh, well, that's true. And you know, we get into a lot of trouble, you know, when we're trying to be on the eco like friendly thing. It's like, it's very important to so many people, and the way that they even go about their sales. So I enjoy all the different ways that people are going green, but it's really a difficult challenge that a lot of these florists have taken on to work that into their everyday business. And
Yeah.
you do a lot of articles on that sustainability too.
Oh yes, we do address it. I think it's important. I also think it's important to recognize the tremendous amount of dollars that are going into R&D by some of these companies like Smithers Oasis that are really trying to look for alternative ways. Their new volcanic rock foam thing is not foam, but it's volcanic rock. They just got so many new products out.
Yeah.
And I really give praise to them because it's very expensive. I don't know if, a lot of people recognize how expensive research and development really is to try and launch new products and find more sustainable ways. And I think you can find a happy balance. I always say that at Florist Review, our job is to set a really nice table where everybody has a seat and everybody has a voice. It's not our job to kind of pick and choose winners and losers and who's going to get this and who, it's our job just to have an opportunity to have the conversation and give the information, and then people can make their choices however they want to run their business. But we feel like it's our job to just inform them of the options.
So you try to take a stance on just kind of opening up the world of floral design and all the pieces that go along with it. From I know you do a lot with the breeders, even wholesalers, different platforms like mine, that there's several that we can mention, but I love how that you incorporate all that, because it really is a community. And I know that that's kind of like the message that is being really pushed from like Cal Flowers with that flower feeling. It's just like, let's put all eyes on flowers and share all the good qualities of it too.
And we strongly believe there's room for everybody. I'm a big believer in American grown and buying local when you can. And that being said, the floral industry is very much an international business. I mean, we just simply can't grow our way out of the need for roses. We have such a gigantic, enormous, we just don't have the climate in enough of the country for enough of the year to be able to really sustain our own. So I think it's important that, we recognize that it is an international business, and absolutely your first choice should be your local farms and getting connected with your local farms and seeing what you can do in your region. But outside of that, there's a lot of new opportunities to buy directly from the farms in South America, which I think is really interesting as well, because a lot of the farms in South America are starting direct campaigns to florists. And the supply chain issues has kind of accelerated that move, in that it kind of takes one hurdle out of the supply chain if they're going direct to the florist. So there's a lot of things changing in the industry, and I think for the better. And I think it's important too to also tell the message of how much good the floral industry brings, not only to the florist and your customers, but even the communities and the lives that are being transformed in parts of South America where the flowers are grown. And entire communities are being raised out of poverty, and women suddenly have opportunities to buy homes because most of the people employed by the flower farms are women. And a lot of these women never had an opportunity in these kind of rural areas to have any kind of job. So it's really, really transforming a lot of lives and making a big impact in particularly Colombia and Ecuador.
Yeah, I think it's so profound. And I've talked to many growers who are employing thousands of people on their hectares there producing these flowers. And you really, if you're outside of it or not really exposed to it, you really just have no idea what it takes to get that flower or that arrangement, into our grocery stores or into our shops that people are buying every day. Like they're so clueless. And I think it was very eye-opening years ago when I started working for an import company and just saw the massiveness of all the boxes and how that whole supply chain really works. So I would love to see some more content, just from an educational standpoint, on teaching florists as they're entering the industry, even to those that have been there a long time, what goes into actually bringing these flowers to
absolutely. The journey of a flower and how many lives are really touched and improved by getting that rose to you, or that special flower that you're looking for in different parts of the world where they're being sourced. So it is really interesting. And I think it's such a, I'm very much an advocate for empowering women in business. And so for me, this is such an amazing industry, because really it's all about women. In many ways, most of the flowers are grown by women. They're then arranged by women and ultimately mostly given to women as a token of love and affection. So it's kind of like a full circle little industry that really empowers women and gives women opportunity to not only make their own living, but be able to reward and, the people that they love in their life.
Yeah, you're so right. And I felt like a lot of that pulling at my heart when we started Details was, there were a lot of women that were struggling like me with their business. And so I can definitely hear you on that. And I like that we align in so many of those views, and the industry in general, like,
Absolutely.
all the people on this call are women right now. So we're all here. Like, so what do you think? Girl talk, but so how many people are on your team now? You said what used to be massive. I mean, I would imagine back in the day before there was.
We are not massive. We are tiny, but we are mighty. We have about 6 people on our core team, and then we have freelancers that write articles and do other things as well. But my core team is 6 people. So we do a lot.
Yeah. Well, hey, I understand that. And I think that is, kind of the best way, because when there's too many people involved, it gets really messy and sloppy. You have to have a direction and focus. So I like that. I definitely agree to that. How would do you often take anybody that writes, maybe wants to promote like a different idea, or any suggestions, anybody that might be listening on ways they can submit content?
We do take ideas sometimes on if somebody has an idea and they just want to throw out an idea, we'll listen all day to ideas. Writing an article is a little bit different. Do you have a history of writing? Do you have samples? Those type of things. And people can contact us at mail@floristreview.com if they have some ideas, if they're interested in, if they want to pursue something, if they're interested in being a designer. We do tutorials. We do 3 tutorials in every issue. And rather than having like one in-house designer and doing everything in-house, I like to have outside designers. And because I feel that gives more of a variety of the work that's really being done on the ground. And so we're always looking for people who are really good at photographing and doing interesting tutorials. So, any of that, mail@floristreview.com.
Awesome. We will put that in our Cliffs notes. So in this latest issue, with the 125-year celebration, you featured 125 florists, and many of which were our customers. So bravo to them, but all those ones that were, we invite you along. But how do you go to the task to pick 125 notable florists in the country? Like, what was
that was Tenali. Tenali had that task. I don't have the task. She's our community manager for Instagram, and she is so on top of everything and what's happening and what's out there, that she's just great, and she knows so much about the industry and what's hot and what's not and what's coming and what's going. And so we picked 2 per state. And then I think it was 2 per province in Canada as well. And then we had a couple of extras that we threw in from major cities. But yeah, so we narrowed it down to 2 per state.
Well, what an honor for them, because I mean, it's just, I know for me, if I got that, I'd want to put that out and tell everybody, look at me, I made it. So
yeah,
I just think
they did. We sold a lot of sales that month, this month. So the lists are great. We like the list. Thanks everybody. We really like that. We really appreciate it.
Oh, that's awesome. So do you, so anybody can, do you only have advertisers that are like directly connected with the floral industry? Do you ever have anybody that's outside of the industry that wants to like put something in the magazine, or
Well, there's
what
so
is,
many
what?
different, there's so many different kind of things. I mean, you know, they're from like products like little magnet for boutonnieres, little magnets, you know, for boutonnieres, to progressive insurance, you know, you got to have insurance on your vans, to wraps, you know, you got to have wraps on your vans. I mean, there's so many products that are possible for florists aside from just the flowers in the containers. You know, there's a ton of products out there, but I mean, if it's somebody that's completely left field, I would advise them, you know, this is a trade publication for florists. So if you're not trying to reach florists for some logical reason, but yeah, we have so many, even people that are looking for lead designers or people that are looking to sell their shop. I mean, we just have a lot of different, you know, different type of advertisers that want to get their message out, because we, you know, we feel like we're the best and the oldest and the place to be.
Yeah, no, I would agree with that. And, you know, it's a kind of a sale, you know, if you're wanting to sell your business, I would definitely have a spot in Florist Review, because there's a lot of eyes that are going to be on that, or if you're looking to acquire one, for that matter. So Best in Blooms is underway right now.
Yes, it just launched today. Yeah. So we're excited about that.
Cool.
We've got our new one. This one is sponsored by Ball and Melrose. So we're excited, and the winners will be in the March issue. And it just started today, and it will go for a week. So anybody interested, get your things out there. And that's really the best way. I think that, you know, like some people might want to submit work, but I will just tell you, if you send your work to mail@floristreview.com, likely nothing is going to happen with it unless we're interested in hiring you for something specific. But we're not going to take those pictures and put them into the lot with the contest. It just doesn't work like that. You have to actually submit your work. It has to go into the form. You know, we're like you, we're software driven. We got to make it easy. And if you don't have all your information filled out and your pictures uploaded in the proper place, we don't have time to kind of chase your information and kind of put it in and add you. So that's really the best way to be featured, is to enter our contest. And we have, you know, we have our Picture Perfect Wedding contest that's in the issue that we just finished up. So our February issue. So we're super excited. The pictures are to die for. The photography it just makes me so happy. There's so many beautiful weddings and so much creativity. It was really difficult trying to narrow it down.
Yeah, I don't even know how you do, because when we do things here, I'm just like, how do we even pick a winner? I don't want to seem like, you know, it's also subjective, but you did pick a winner. And how did you? When is that going to be announced?
Well, you know, it helps that the team, we're pretty organized in the way that we kind of go about it. Everybody gets a PDF that pulls, everybody that submitted has their own file, and we go through and look. And to be honest, I had the team go through and pick their top favorites. And then I went through and looked at all the top favorites, and then we came to a consensus on the winners. And in the end, it's kind of pretty clear when you get down to the categories, because, you know, sometimes, you know, for something like our Picture Perfect Weddings, to be an overall winner, to win the overall contest, you've got to put a lot of pictures of the same wedding. And sometimes people put like kind of haphazard pictures of different weddings and different things and little pieces here and there. And so, but if it doesn't look like a cohesive, like this was the ceremony, this was the reception, you know, then they're not even going to be in the running for best overall, because, you know, we don't have an overall picture of what it all looked like. So, you know, kind of things like that narrow things down. But yeah, it's hard to kind of finalize. And then we had like, I can't even remember, I think it was 160 something entries. So that's a lot of images and a lot of people to like remember. And And then getting to layout, oh my goodness, it's even more challenging to try to lay it out. It's like putting a puzzle together.
Yeah, I know.
I feel like I put a gigantic puzzle together every month.
Emily, and you have deadlines. So I think that that's something just so important to kind of keep in mind, that you're going to have to get this to print at a certain day, just like the wedding is going to happen, whether they like it or not. It's all happening at the same time. So the culmination of that is, I think, florists thrive on that, though. That's what we do. Or I think magazine publishers as well. You probably live for those, getting that job accomplished.
Yes, we're definitely deadline driven people, and I've worked on deadline for 30 years. So I mean, I'm kind of bad in that if I don't have a deadline, what's the point? I don't know. When is it actually due? Do we have to do it right now? Yes, we have to do it right now.
Oh, that's awesome. So can you tell us anything about the Canadian magazine, or when that will be back, or your ideas for that?
We're looking at, maybe, I'm not sure about when we're looking at maybe relaunching that as a quarterly, probably next year. And then we're looking at relaunching Super Floral this year. We're looking at the fall of this year to relaunch Super Floral, which Super Floral is for the mass market, for supermarkets and the mass market.
Yeah, all the IFEs, and I ran into you last year at the Wholesale Florals Convention, and you were there introducing yourself. I think it was in June, so it had been shortly after you acquired it. But have you had the opportunity to go to, probably not as many because of COVID, obviously, but do you have plans to attend any more events this year to meet more florists, or get your magazine in more?
That's kind of the thing I'm excited about this year, is the opportunity to go to the events, because last year so many things got canceled, or I had scheduling issues, so I couldn't make some of the events, especially the Pro Flora conference in South America was canceled, which I was kind of bummed. I was excited to go to that, and then I wasn't able to make it to Holland. I didn't get my passport in time. It was very frustrating.
Oh no!
I know. I was like 45 minutes late too. 45 minutes.
Oh really? Yeah, I read that. Like, oh, how sad. That's a terrible trip to miss, but I'll go with you next time. Next time we're going, we'll go together.
Yes, let's do.
I would love to see that show.
Yeah, absolutely.
We should put a group of florists together, or we could do a contest.
Well, that's actually interesting that you mentioned that. That's actually one of the things that we've got planned for the future, are putting together some trips for florists. I thought it would be really exciting to do some trips to South America and some trips to Europe, and have floral designers kind of teach new ideas, new ways of doing things. So, and actually have like lunch al fresco on the farms. They can see the farms, they can meet the people. I think that would be a wonderful opportunity when things open up, maybe next year. That's one of the things that we're looking at doing, is doing florist review tours.
Well, count us in for that. That sounds like fun. I'm always looking for a reason to escape.
You are quite the traveler.
Hey, I like it. Whenever I can get out of Florida, I don't, although I will stay in Florida right now because it's miserable everywhere else, from what I understand. So you're going to be at the WFSA convention. I imagine that you'll probably go to SAF or all these other things. In the magazine. Oh, in Symposium, for sure. Yes, we're definitely going to be there for that. It's in Vegas this year, which I like how they move around. It gives you an opportunity to see a city if you haven't before. And they always have it during 4th of July. So anybody who's doesn't have plans yet, be sure to mark that down. What are you most intrigued about by the floral industry that since you've become a part of this family?
Well, I think the thing that really amazes me is like the generosity of spirit. Just the warm welcome I've received has not been, it's really unlike any other business experience I've ever had. Just the real welcoming, and the generosity of knowledge, just the way designers, they tell all their tricks of the trade. I mean, that's an amazing part about this industry, is that people are really dedicated to education, and people are so open with all of their talents and their tricks, and how they get their beautiful products in the end. And usually in most industries, it's like, no, I can't tell you my secrets. You'll steal all my business. But in this industry, it's kind of the opposite. There's just so much education, and just a real generosity of spirit, I feel.
Yeah, I think that's a good observation, because I feel like every time I go to these shows, and especially when they have like an awards banquet and they're giving out like a lifetime achievement award, and you hear the stories of some of the people that have been in the industry for almost as long as the magazine has been around. No, but they're but it often brings me to tears just when I see the heart and like all the relationships and the friendships, and they're just completely genuine. So I feel really, really lucky to be a part of this. And I'm glad that you're bringing this, new perspective to the magazine, and also revitalizing some parts of it too. It's just really nice to see.
Oh, well, thank you. I think that's one thing that I saw at WUFSA, I thought was really interesting. You see all these people, and they're technically competitors, but they're laughing, they're joking, they're yucking it up, they're having a grand old time. But technically, they're really competitors. But they're so happy to see each other. They see each other at conventions every year, and they have for decades. And it's just nice to see, because in other industries, it's just not like that. And I've heard a lot of stories about people that have left more corporate kind of structured industries to go into the floral industry. And it's the typical story of, they stayed longer than they wanted to because they had the golden handcuffs and the high salaries, and they just realized eventually, maybe I'll make less money, but I'm going to be a whole lot happier.
Yeah, we hear that a time and time again with people that are leaving the corporate world to enter this industry. So it's so great to have a resource that you can flip to that has instructions, or maybe like the new people who are getting involved and haven't quite heard of a product, you can see it all there in Florist Review. It's just amazing
and
what
hear
you
about
can
you.
learn.
Let's talk a minute about how amazing you are, because I am just so impressed with what you built. I mean, really, it's really impressive, and from the ground up, and to really roll the dice. It's not easy. It's not cheap. It's hard to build anything. And so, I mean, big congratulations to you on all that you've achieved, and the way you really are helping and really care about the florist. And I think that's really the difference in the recipe with what you do, is that you truly do care, and you've been there yourself, and you saw from the inside, being a florist yourself, how difficult it was, and really trying to make it easier for the next generation, and for and all the new florists out there.
Well, thank you. I appreciate you saying that. It's definitely been a challenge, especially as a woman, a young woman in business. So I definitely get it. I had a lot of naysayers that are like, this will never happen. And even some old people that are in the industry, like good old boys clubs, that are like, no, this is not really anything that we're ready for yet. And so I just had to like put those kind of naysayers to bed, and just like, what, I'm going to keep forging forward, and see what kind of changes we can make
for your brand. You're such a great spokesperson for your brand, because you are so open and cheerful and knowledgeable, but yet friendly.
My husband wouldn't say that. No. Well, no, I try.
I mean, he's just a whole ball of entertainment himself.
He's our D-Cell's mascot. We've got the bearded mascot.
He's like where we bonded. Should we share where we bonded? She had the presidential suite. We had a little party, and that was where we like really bonded. We were like long lost sisters when we met.
Well, it's so funny because it's different to put a face with a brand, you know, and it's like the entire time I've been growing details, like all these big companies that I wanted to work with or have relationships, when you meet the people, it's like it almost not that I turn away from being such a fangirl, because I still am a fangirl and I want to see you successful, but it's just so personal. And you realize that nothing that you thought might have been impossible to achieve, or these, you know, big companies are, you know, they're just nice people at the end of the day.
Right.
And they all are moving for perfect a goal, and that we all have our own dreams that we're trying to pursue. But when you communicate and can kind of share your backstory, it just makes it that much sweeter, I think. So
Absolutely.
it was definitely a fun moment, because I didn't know you were, you know. I was just talking to you, and we were cutting it up before I even knew. I was like, "Oh, you run this magazine now? Come on now." So,
yeah.
What? Oh yeah, sorry. I think there's a delay. So, what are you most looking forward to in 2022 besides now that you have your passport potentially?
Really, events. I'm super excited to go to some of these events. Like I said, I really only got to go to WFSA last year. That was kind of the only really I went. And so far this year, I've already been to the Atlanta market. I went to TPIE as well, which was in Tampa. And it was really, I haven't been to the Atlanta market in a couple of decades. But it was really interesting to see there was just so much product out there, and so many places I could have spent all day. There was a lot of really amazing work out there.
Do you have any, I haven't been to the Las Vegas market, so I've never been to the Dallas market or the Atlanta. So if you're going on a field trip there, I think that we could put a group together. But any tips or takeaways for anybody that might be looking to go to have a really successful market?
Well, wear comfortable shoes, that's for sure. That would be my top three.
That's a given.
Top suggestion.
Okay. Won't wear the sneakers.
Well, I think that for me, I was focused on seeing some different products, because I'm a big believer in retail florists expanding their product line. Not just upselling with really unusual containers, buying some really amazing containers. Accent Decor has a good sampling, and there's some other companies out there. Abigail's was one that I found that I just fell in love with. I love their stuff. It's so beautiful. It's so unique. Global Views is another one that has just really stunning, very contemporary, modern, edgy kind of containers, and different types of things, different types of accessories. So, I look at it a perspective of like, how can we add tickets, add on to your ticket sales? How can we increase your sales by upselling through containers? Also upselling with maybe candles, maybe a little napkin that has a flower embroidered on it that goes with the flowers, so that they can have something afterwards that's really memorable. That goes also back to the container that's really special, instead of just using, just kind of staying with your standard, really offering some very high-end, well-designed pieces that will become like artwork in their home when when the flowers are gone. So it was a very interesting market to me to see all the variety. I mean, they've got 3 buildings packed full. It's quite a lot of ground to cover, and you'll need the full 4 days. And Las Vegas is the same way. You'll need the full 4 days to be able to pull it off. But it really expands your idea for the retail florist of what's possible. Because I say, the days of a retail florist shop just being kind of a dusty waiting room for the delivery guy, like those days are long gone. Rent is too expensive now not to really capitalize on every square inch of retail space that you have. And if you can create an opportunity where your customers drop in occasionally to see what you have new, that's just additional sales for you. You don't really, if you can have that kind of place, retail shop that's changing and evolving and bringing new things in, that just really helps you increase your sales volume out of the customer base that you already have.
Yeah, we've been focused on events here at Details, but we found that during COVID, a lot of our event florists transitioned to have a retail space as well. So that's a lot of content that we're trying to bring them, like, hey, how do you best open this? How do you need to merchandise your shelves? So like we have some things coming out. So I think that that is all really relevant. And if anybody is watching this that wants to, move into that more retail, I would definitely suggest taking a trip to market and just figuring out what is it that you like? What could you offer in your store that might set you apart and just be a different than someone else might be carrying in your same market.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah. So, what stood out to you, or what are you looking forward to this next little bit? Other than going to events, is there anything on the radar for Florist Review that we should know about?
Well, we have our tours, which I'm excited to start planning, and we're going to do our first tour in 2023. So I'm very excited about planning that. And then we're going to be relaunching Super Floral. So that's going to be a whole nother thing. It's going to be a quarterly publication, and it is for the mass market, but we're really excited to be relaunching that. And with Florist Review, just keeping up, just keep going with our monthly publications, trying to always, give the best content we can. And I'm looking in the future to grow on the educational side. I think that education is such a crucial part of the industry, and I would really like to create a repository of sorts for some of this floral design education that's out there, because right now it's kind of scattered all over. And I'd love to create a central kind of place where florists could go to get classes from all different kinds of designers all over the world.
That's awesome, Jules. Well, you definitely have gotten the past, and I feel like you're going to pave the future with your magazine and all of the supplemental things you guys do too. So it's not just a magazine, you do digital, you do, I guess, really great email blasts, the newsletters. I see all of it. We follow along. So
I know you guys are so active. You've got such a great social team, because that's really, that's another really important part of what we do is the social communities, and really being a destination for people wanting international floral design. And we can be a little bit, on our Instagram is definitely more international.
okay.
Than the magazine. We do focus more on the US and Canada with the magazine, but on Instagram, the world is our oyster, and we feature amazing designs from all over the world. I want to do a trip to Singapore. The things that out of Singapore. I'm going to put you down on the short list for that. I think you'd really like Singapore. It looks amazing.
The flight, Jules. I'm just afraid of those long flights. My gosh, I'll have to really be flying pretty luxe, to go the long way with a bed that lays out or something. I just don't even know.
Just have a glass of wine and a sleeping pill. You'll be fine. You'll wake up. You'll be there.
I don't know what you think about these things. No, is there any? I don't know if we have any questions from anybody on our chat that they might have for Jules, specific to maybe the magazine. If you have any questions, please feel free to add them. Anything that you think we might need to talk? Oh my gosh, I have a train coming by. We're seeing industry here. Train is going by. Let's see, is there anything I missed?
Well, I'm curious about you. What do you have coming up in 2022?
Oh God. I'm really just, we're hosting an event with a group of designers called Spark, and that's going to be happening at Walt Disney World. And it's basically behind the scenes tour of all the ways that they put all of their events together. And you can imagine that Disney's is just massive, and they have event after event. So really excited about that. Of course, we are going to the WFSA. We're going to head up to Great Lakes up there for the Michigan conference, which is always a really great conference. They've also been around, I think, for, I think they celebrated 100 years last year, but it's amazing. 100 years ago, people were really getting busy, creating associations, getting their businesses together, creating magazines. So we're excited about that.
So much was happening. Everything was just beginning, it's amazing to think. We think of it as like, it was obviously so long ago, but it was just, everything was exploding as far as industry and business.
Well, they really laid the foundation, the groundwork for a lot of that we're still doing. Like if you think about it, I'm attending the SAF Congressional Action Days, which I would just encourage anybody if they're looking to have a voice. You can go and lobby on Capitol Hill, which is just a really great experience. I love going to that every year. If you can go to that, Jules, I would definitely suggest you attend that event.
I don't know. I think I'll leave the politics to them.
Oh, well, it's more about just knowing what's going on, but it's just really just the whole energy of Washington and just being there. I just really like that. But yeah, for the last 4 years, I've been the only woman from the state of Florida to attend that event. And it's
wow.
Interesting.
You would be a great politician. You would have been a great, yeah, maybe. You're young.
I don't know. I think my husband's been kicked off of Facebook too many times for that lifestyle, but I'm good. He's bad. So anyway, but yeah, I guess they're just during these next few quarters, we're looking just to get a lot more organized with our content and just like how we do things. Like we're always revitalizing our whole approach on everything and like what didn't work, what's going to work better. So I feel like we have a really nice wheel going, but then it's like we got to make just improvements along the way. So
what are your favorite events? What would you say is your favorite event? Because you go to a lot of events. You travel, girl.
I really enjoy the Wedding MBA conference. That is in Las Vegas in November. I think it's just a great team building kind of opportunity. We meet a ton of florists there and a ton of other people from just the wedding industry. AIFD, I think, is a great just learning experience. Or if you're wanting to see your favorite designers like Hitomi Gillum or Holly Chappell, they're usually there. And then, I don't know, the IFE we might go to this year, which is down in Miami, and that's the International Floral Culture Expo, but it's more mass market. So it's not really necessarily where we meet florists, but there's a lot of breeders and growers there that are just showing off their products. So if you're wanting to see just what is up and coming or just the next thing, I would say that is just for floral enthusiasts, which of course I am. So I love to see it and, just meet people. So it's just about interacting. Oh, the Fun and Sun event. That is something I'm looking forward to. The cow flowers.
Yeah, the cow flowers.
Yeah, at the Hotel Coronado, I think it's in San Diego.
Talk about fancy. It looks so swanky and nice.
But apparently their room rates are really affordable. So I guess it's just getting to California is going to be the expensive part. But yeah, I think that'd be a really, really great event. So they're really, I love the cow flowers people over there. They're doing so much.
Aren't they fun? Those guys are so much fun.
Yeah, they came to our party too. Yeah, they were there.
They came, they saw, they partook.
That sometimes makes the difference. And these are how relationships are started, is like who is going to go and actually participate or be immersed in it. And just like, I don't know. It's just it's always fun when people contribute their own life too,
Yes, absolutely.
Well, I'm not sure if we got any questions in, but I've enjoyed this last little bit talking with you, Jules, and I'm glad our listeners have got the opportunity to meet you and see the face behind the brand. Thank you for taking over Florist Review and bringing your heart and soul to the magazine. I feel like you have got a long runway ahead of you for some really great things. So we're going to be along for the ride. So,
well, thank you so much. Yeah. And thank you for having me. It's been such a pleasure. And thank you for being such a great partner in the business. I think you're just amazing. And it's just great to bask in your glow.
Thanks. It's mutual, Jules. I look forward to many more opportunities to hang out and laugh with you, and looking forward to another glass of wine. So
absolutely. Well,
yeah.
I'll bring a nice bottle of champagne for your party.
Okay, I got the Saint Germain too. Well, we got that.
Nice. All right, dear. Thank you so much for having me. It's been a pleasure. And thank you everybody that came today and everybody that's listening on the rewind. We at Florist Review are just so happy to be here and to be able to serve you guys and help you guys be more profitable and have all your floral dreams come true.
That's great. Thank you, Jules. You're the best. And I appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Thanks so much. Bye-bye.
Bye, guys.